All right,
Hello,
everybody, welcome to Better Call Paul here on Thursday, May 14th, 2020. On behalf of Performance Title and Escrow and Trident Title, I want to welcome attorney Paul Krasker. He works with both Performance Title and Escrow as well as Trident Title and also in our newest brand, Synergy Title. So welcome, Paul. I'd love to hear what's going on, what you're seeing out there in the world. We spoke a little before the call about some high-end stuff, some commercial stuff, and just would love to give your take on that before we jump into some questions.
Yeah, so can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah,
Ryan,
good.
you tell me?
Good.
Great. I think it's returning to normal much quicker than people expected. I'm seeing some commercial deals move forward that everybody was wondering whether they'd find equity financing and commercial loans for, and that seems to be coming together and moving. So that's always a good sign, especially since that's a leader for the residential side. I received a lot of contracts this week and at the end of last week, and I've got more being negotiated. So all a good sign for today. Question is what's going on in the future? Nobody has a crystal ball. We assume that there'll be some pockets that have to go back under quarantine, but we're hopeful that it's not going to be the same type of quarantine as we had before. But again, who knows? Ryan, you were saying that the order counts from Trident and Performance have been steadily increasing and are now close to or at the numbers that we saw before the COVID hit. So if that's any indication, that's a good sign as well.
Yeah, that's definitely been a plus on our end. Like we were chatting about earlier, for us, we usually judge that as a metric because we usually see the deals under contract before even the offices do, because we're getting to work on the title work right away. So the last couple of days, we have seen numbers at normal or even above what has been normal for us in the past. So that's definitely been a good sign. Earlier, we were talking about some of the high-end stuff, and you had mentioned that you're seeing Palm Beach and some of the real like ultra luxe stuff kind of picking back up. I know your office handles a lot of that. Do you think that's just the return to normal or the fear going away or transactions that were in the works before all of this that are coming back, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's people who were interested throughout the season and didn't make an offer in March or April because they weren't sure what life was going to look like, and are now having a bit more confidence now that the stock market has moved back in the right direction. And I think those people are going to continue to make offers. The interesting thing, and without breaching any confidentiality, some of these properties are being put under contract within 5% of the asking price, which is sort of the traditional market for Palm Beach. And a good sign. I think during the COVID, the worst of the COVID, there were sellers who were accepting a 10% reduction just to make sure that they got the property sold within the season. But the more recent sales have been such that I think you can be comforted that people aren't feeling desperate anymore.
And as you said earlier, that usually kind of starts the trickle down effect, right? When the agents that are in the regular, Palm Beach is kind of an ultra luxury market. When it goes to luxury and they see that, it trickles down, and then the normal pricing and even entry level pricing we're seeing come in close to or at ask, which is definitely a good sign.
Well, the rule, and I'm closest to the West Palm Beach and Palm Beach marketplaces. The rule is when properties in Palm Beach, when you can't get into Palm Beach for under $3 million, that the properties in West Palm that are between 1.2 and 1.8 start selling better, because somebody who was going to get a $3.2 million small house and an inland block with no views and a big hedge around them at 2,200 square feet can get a house with a little bit more architecturally interesting features on a little bit larger lot for half of that price. And it's worth it at those percentages to come over to West Palm Beach. And the last 2 or 3 properties that have gone under contract there have been at 2.9 and 2.95. So we're getting to that number again.
Nice. That's definitely good to hear. And then commercial as well. You know, commercial is something we always track, even though most of us on this call are in residential. We look at commercial kind of as a guideline for if, you know, our local business people are fearful. And you said you've been seeing some good action in there as well.
Yep.
Awesome.
So any specific questions that are out there, happy to take. But while we're waiting for those to trickle in, just want to remind the agents who are on the call, one of the things that my office is capable of assisting you with are the probate files. I've had a couple of times in the last 2 weeks or so where Trident Title got a title order on a deal, but somebody else was doing the probate work for the estate. And I just happened to notice that they were charged about double what we charge for probate. So we're happy to be that seamless interface with Trident or with Performance. If your client is in need of probate services, please think of us.
Awesome. We appreciate that. So one question I'm seeing, Paul, is there any additional addendum or hold harmless agreement with regard to COVID-19 that we can use to attach to our listing agreement or buyer's agreements? I have seen some other real estate firms making their agents use something as protection, and clients are starting to assume that that may come or lawsuits may follow. So are you seeing any specific documents? Is it just that one addendum? And are you seeing any kind of lawsuits or anything about deposits and files that don't have something like that?
Sure. So I've seen the FAR addendum that I know you've seen as well, Ryan, and we can certainly send that along to everybody so that it is available to them. But I haven't seen anything that that is an indemnity agreement for showings or any of the sort. I've drafted a couple for some sellers, but at the end of the day, I think they hurt people's true desire to sell their property. I had one seller who wanted the buyers to put on masks and gloves and wanted them to walk around the house with a wipe for all the handles that they touched, and my sense was it turned off buyers, and they didn't look at it as a home that they might occupy. They looked at it as a germ-infested place that they needed to be careful of. So
that makes sense. It kind of takes the home feeling out of it, you know.
I think you have to weigh these issues, and the reality is nobody's ever going to be able to turn around and say, "Oh, I got COVID from looking at that house." So,
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, another one. Do you recommend recorded condo docs versus unrecorded condo docs provided from the seller to the buyer upon the sale of a condo?
To be honest, I'm not sure what that question means.
Alice, are you on? If she just sent me that over, if she's on, let her pop on and actually say it. I'm going to unmute you so you can chat. Go ahead.
Hey, Paul. Yeah, we ran into a little bit of a tussle upon with my buyer and a condo doc, and when we were receiving the condo docs, and they just sent, basically unsigned ones from the condominium, and there was no recording on it, and I was a little apprehensive with the unsigned ones, and they weren't numbered. The pages weren't numbered, so we didn't know if something had been pulled out or not. So I had requested recorded docs because they're numbered.
Okay.
So
you're talking about if you represent a buyer,
yes,
what
I'm
you
sorry.
want to receive from the seller?
Yes.
So you want to receive copies of all recorded condominium documents. That would be the declaration of condominium, the articles of incorporation, the bylaws, the rules and regulations, all of those. Well, the rules and regulations don't need to be recorded, but all the others do. And then, of course, any amendments to those need to be recorded as well. then you want to get the 2019 financial statement for the condominium, and you want to get the frequently asked questionnaire document from the association. So
Okay.
you get all of those documents plus any amendments to them, and only then do you have a binding contract. Because if you don't get one of those and your buyer decides that they really don't want to buy the condo, all they have to do is say, hey, you never sent me this document. Wait till they get that document, and within the next 3-day time period, they just terminate and they get their deposit back,
Okay.
even if it's the day before closing. So whether you're representing a buyer or a seller, you want to work with that management company for the condominium and make sure that you have those downloaded into, a link that you can email around if you're the seller, if you're the listing agent, that you can email around, know that it's updated, know that it's correct, know that it's most recent forms, and send it out to people immediately when they make an offer so that they can't say they never got a document.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
But you definitely want the recorded versions. Yep.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you.
Sure.
Great, thank you. One more, is there any way that we can find out about people that do need help selling a home as part of probate, like more on the lead generation side than the servicing when it's done? Is there any services in the offices or through the title companies that we can use to help work on that?
Yeah, so there are companies, lead generation companies, that deliver to you for a fee every probate that's filed in Palm Beach County, Broward County, whatever county you want to focus on. The other way to do it is to talk to probate attorneys who are doing these probates on a regular basis, and to have a relationship with them where you're sending your closings in exchange for these. Trident Title, I think, gives out as many leads as they get, but the reality is most of the time the realtors have the information before we do. We're getting the contracts from them.
Understood. Makes sense. Anybody else that's on? Any questions? Jason also just popped on and shot me a text and said they have access to a system that the realtor would have to pay for. So if you guys are interested in that, I will connect with him and get some information and some training out about that as well. That's a great service from Landcastle, which is our parent company for the title company.
Yeah, and those services can be good because not a lot of people are using them. So if 15 of you sign up for the same service and you're all jumping all over each other, it's not as good, and you might want to look at it as a group and divvy up the leads depending on your farming areas. So, if people are looking to be creative, if you get somebody who's going to take Boca and somebody who's going to take Boynton and somebody who's going to take Western West Palm and somebody who's going to take the northern part of the county, for everybody to get together and have lead generation, group meetings, things of that nature, all very helpful. But if 15 people from West Palm Beach are all grabbing at the same list, it becomes difficult.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We also have services that do divorce leads, empty nesters, a bunch of great stuff. So we'll bring that to you guys in a future training and do that live on one of our Monday trainings. Anybody else, any questions that they want to get answered from Paul? We only had a few today, so I'm out of questions on my end that people have sent in. Does anybody else that's on the call want to pop on? You can unmute yourself and ask a question if you'd like. We'll give it a second and see if anybody comes in.
We know it's a tight day. We know a lot of the Keller Williams agents. We're doing community service for Red Day, and appreciate that. And still wanted to be on the call and answer anybody's questions who might be calling in. But
yeah, absolutely, we appreciate that. All right, guys. If nobody else has any questions, I will remind you next week at this same time, Thursday the 21st at 4:00, we are going to be diving into the as-is contract. So if you want to learn more about that and some of Paul's tips and tricks with all the contracts that he's seeing, make sure you are available next Thursday for that. And Monday,
Ryan, just to be clear, that's a longer one than just the few minutes. That's probably a 40-minute talk and 10 minutes of questions after that. And we also want to ask people to text us or email us with other topics. I know I know that some people have asked about going through the condo rider in specifics, and
yeah, a lot of addendum questions a lot of different addendum questions have came up as well. So maybe we'll
if you want to put them on the calendar and advertise them, I'm happy to talk on them. Just give me a couple days heads up, and I'll reread the most recent forms.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, guys. Thank you again all for being on. Monday, if you haven't already, we have a social media class at 11 o'clock, 50 different social media posts that you can use. And again, next Thursday at the same time, we're going to dive into the as-is contract. So on behalf of Performance Title and Escrow and Trident Title, please continue sending us your deals. We appreciate you guys. Let us know what we can do to help. And thank you so much, Paul, for hopping on.
Sure. Good to see everybody.
All right, guys. Have a great day.